That's Immigration Minister Peter Dutton there. I'm joined in the studio now by the Assistant Treasurer, Josh Frydenberg. Josh Frydenberg, good morning to you.
Nice to be with you, Michael.
Your colleague Peter Dutton accuses the Fairfax Papers with the help of the ABC of wanting to bring the government down. Really?
Well, look, our focus is not on the media. Our focus is on delivering good policy outcomes for the Australian people. There's a fault line now in the Parliament over this issue of the China-Australia Free Trade Agreement. I think that's going to be a big decision point for Bill Shorten. Does he support tens of thousands of new jobs for young Australians by linking our economy to one of the most important economies in the world, namely China?
Peter Dutton put the focus on the media, though. You're saying the focus shouldn't be on it, but he took aim fairly squarely at the media. Is this yet another distraction the government doesn't need?
Oh, look, Peter Dutton's right to say that the media has been making mischief, but the fourth
estate... In what way?
Oh, well, like they're trying to play up these leadership tensions and instability and targeting particular
ministers.
ministers.
Reporting on the Arthur Sinodinos press release, which urged the Prime Minister to sack those, destabilising.
Yeah,
that's what the media does.
Well, and look, the media is entirely right to focus on the issues that it wants to do so, but look, the point for us is we were elected by the Australian people in 2013 to do a job. We are 2 years into that 3-year term. We've still got a long way to go, and we've got some big issues to deliver on.
Joe Hockey, your senior minister in the Treasury portfolio, as you well know, has been the subject of a whispering campaign from within government ranks, Liberal MPs, cabinet ministers, speaking to Fairfax, speaking to the ABC. Will he keep his job if the Canning by-election goes badly for the government?
Absolutely. Joe Hockey's doing an outstanding job as Treasurer. I work very closely with him. He's helping to drive an Australian economy that's created more than 300,000 new jobs in the 2 years we've been in office. We've now got low interest rates. We've got a low Australian dollar. We're seeing some very strong positive signs across the economy, particularly in building construction, retail, business confidence after our second budget, which was very well received. And as well as that, Joe Hockey has played a leadership role within the G20 and the OECD process, particularly when we were president last year, which has a focus on multinational tax avoidance and evasion.
Does it worry you as a supporter of the Prime Minister that Tony Abbott has now twice read the Riot Act to both his cabinet colleagues and the broader party room against leaking, against destabilising, and still it's going on? What does this say about the Prime Minister's authority?
Well, look, I think the Prime Minister's right, Peter Dutton's right, all my colleagues are saying that we have to stay united as a team. We've got the focus now on the Canning by-election on September the 19th. We have a very good candidate there in Andrew Hastie. That's our principal focus. We sadly lost a long-serving member in Don Randall. There will be a swing against the government. It always tends to be in those by-elections. But we've got a job to do, and that's to win that by-election and to deliver good government.
OK, and moving on to the Trade Union Royal Commission, Dyson Heydon, as we know, has decided to stay on, ruling against any perceptions of bias. How relieved is the government that he has taken that course of action? Oh,
we welcome Dyson Heydon's decision. He's an eminent jurist. He was appointed by the Carr Labor government to the New South Wales Court of Appeal. He served on the High Court for a decade. And we know that other justices of senior courts in Australia, namely Justice Kirby, Justice Gordon and Justice McHugh, all appeared before the Labor Lawyers Association. Now, the Labor Party has never said that they were biased, and this has been a very partisan, personal attack on Justice Heydon from day one in order to undermine this Royal Commission. You only have to look at the words of Martin Ferguson, a former president of the ACTU, who has said that this Royal Commission is very important to cleaning up the trade union movement and its links to Labor.
The Labor Party is still not giving up. It insists that Dyson Heydon does need to be removed. It's now going to take its campaign to the Senate with the help, it hopes, from the Greens and others to move a motion asking the Governor-General to sack the Commissioner. What do you make of that?
Well, the union should cut their losses now. They are not only undermining respect for the judiciary, and you've heard the Law Council of Australia, the peak body, say it's unacceptable to see these attacks on Dyson Heydon, but they should also understand that they're just going to throw more of a spotlight on what the findings are of this Royal Commission. Now, Bill Shorten may have to appear before this Royal Commission again. Yesterday in the papers we had front page stories about how industry super funds provided funding to a slush fund, IR21, which provided money to Bill Shorten's campaign to defeat Anthony Albanese. There's lots of questions that have come out of this Royal Commission, including more than 25 union officials and former union officials that have been referred to law enforcement agencies as a result of this Royal Commission's work.
The Small Business Minister, Bruce Wilson's move to enforce government action against big businesses, be they big supermarkets and the like, who abuse their market powers, will be considered by Cabinet today. Is that a good move in your view?
Look, I'll leave that to the Cabinet discussion today. There's clearly differences of opinion, and there's also differences of opinion in the business community. The Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry supports this recommendation out of the Harper Review, namely the so-called effects test, whereas the BCA is strongly against. So let's see what Cabinet decides.
You're a senior economic minister. You don't have a view on it?
Well, I want to see stronger competition, there's no doubt about that, but I don't want to see unintended consequences, and legitimate issues have been raised about unintended consequences from this particular change.
You, as Assistant Treasurer, have direct control of superannuation. The Committee for Economic Development of Australia has this big report out today, some audacious proposals on super, including allowing first home buyers access to their super funds to help buy their homes, particularly in Sydney and Melbourne. Is that a good idea?
Look, I don't think we'll be going down that path anytime soon. David Murray did a comprehensive review into the financial systems inquiry, and he said one of the things we could do to help super is to enshrine its definition in law, get a bipartisan approach to this, because effectively superannuation is a substitute or a supplement to the age pension. Now, if you allow people to go and buy certain things out of their superannuation funds, you do raise other questions about are they eating into their retirement funds? And we want to encourage people to save more for their superannuation, because we understand there's $2 trillion, Michael, today in superannuation. And as we move from 9.5% to 12%, that will reach $9 trillion. So it's really important that this is used by people for their retirement.
And it's also calling CETA for big changes or scrapping of some of those tax concessions in super that really favour the wealthy. No consideration of that?
Well, we made a commitment at the last election, no adverse or unexpected changes to super this term of government. Labor made 12 adverse changes to super, $9 billion of extra tax on super. And the one thing we were told upon coming to government is that the industry is crying out for stability and certainty when it comes to superannuation, and we're providing that.
And Josh Frydenberg, bravely wearing a Carlton tie. I admire your loyalty. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks, Michael. As we say at Carlton, we're 10 years into our 5-year redevelopment plan.
Yeah, good luck with that. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
OK, now it might be the first